Got a piece about Ron Paul.
Yes.
We had a Gallup poll come out yesterday that had Rick Perry on top, Mitt Romney trailing him, but Ron Paul in a solid third place.
Yes, I mean, it's interesting how the extremes in both parties move the middle to those sides. I mean, Ron Paul has this, backing of people who just think that he is the prophet, as we call it in the story, and his ideas are pretty far out there. I mean, even we do a little kind of a constellation of his intellectual history. Friedrich Hayek, Ludwig von Mises. I mean, but again, getting rid of Social Security, going back to the gold standard, all of these things are ideas which are not really accepted in mainstream thinking, and people are, people cotton to them, people like them, and in our society now, where no matter how extreme your ideas, you can find an audience. He has found one.
And part of it is, too, Julian, he talks about things that are not sexy, they're not easy to understand. I think a lot of people glaze over when he talks about the gold standard and Fed. They shouldn't, but they do. It's not easy to sink your teeth into.
I think the key issue at stake is that people have really lost faith in the way that modern finance works. They know they don't understand the inner cogs of the whole system, but they know something's gone wrong, and they're looking for answers. And to come back to your point, I mean, yes, his ideas are outside the mainstream, but we're heading into a period of tremendous political volatility, not just financial volatility, but political volatility, because so many of these old ideas have been discredited, and many of the certainties have been ripped up. So whether it's the fact that 2 years ago, 4 years ago, America stepped in and saved its banks, completely overturning what was considered normal then, now it's gone the other way, and the ideas are being floated about, essentially going to the far right. I think we're going to see a lot more of that, precisely because people are desperately looking for answers.
So, Julian, is the Financial Times going to endorse going back to the gold standard? Is that what you're saying? I've heard that a little bit between the lines.
I am absolutely not saying we're about to endorse the gold standard. What I am saying, though, is that people are certainly having to think outside the box. And the reality is that the last 4 decades have been marked by an extraordinary explosion in the creation of credit, partly because there has been no anchor for the system other than faith in central bankers. And the key point to realize is that that faith in central bankers is now crumbling, so it should be no surprise that people are looking frantically for answers elsewhere.
I think what is interesting about Ron Paul is he has a solid and consistent following. But because he has not used it in a political way, like the Tea Party, it's not like anyone that is in the race is gravitating towards saying the Ron Paul vote is a vote I need to win. So it's fashioned in a more ideal kind of movement than in a political movement with a threat to impact someone's campaign. So he's clearly, I think it's right to call him more of a prophet than a power broker, because I don't think he's trying to broker power as much as broker new ideas. So I think, even though I may not agree with a lot of it, I think his persona and the political imagery that he's created is much different than those that say, I'm going to take this position to leverage it into something else. He's more of an idea kind of candidate, which is unusual.
In some ways, he's a teacher. He's not delusional about the idea that he could actually win the presidency. He feels that he wants to get these ideas out in the conversation, in the currency. And I think there are people in the Republican Party who would indeed be gunning for his vote. I mean, Rick Perry has to think, I can get some of those Ron Paul voters, and if I talk about the Fed, if I talk about the gold standard, and, they have to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think Perry might have Romney, Bachman, if she understood it.
I think the other problem, of course, is that people are sort of bored and scared of talking about the minutiae of the budget and sort of, $2 trillion there. A lot of that argument seems to go round and round in circles, and a big, bold alternative idea has a lot of resonance as a result.
Rick, it's a great issue. You've got another piece, destroying houses and 3 other radical ideas that could jumpstart the economy.
Right. It's a terrific piece by Massimo Calabresi and Stephen Gandel about how we aren't really going to fix the economy or jumpstart the economy unless we do something about housing in America. Housing is where most people's wealth is. And in fact, there's some radical ideas, some counterintuitive ideas that we actually have to knock down a lot of these houses. We have to increase foreclosure because you have to clear the market. And it's tough love and tough medicine, but it's what we need to do.
All right, Rick Stengel. We'll look at the cover again. Let's look at that again. Remarkable.
Yes,
Tim O'Brien.
Tim O'Brien.
Beautiful work. Thanks so much, Rick. Up next.